Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. It's Trevor Stockwell with you today, and I'm joined today by my guest, Dennis Harhalakis. Now, Dennis has been on the show before, and he was chatting with Yeukai not that long ago on a very key subject with regards to finance. So definitely catch that episode as well, but not right now. Stay tuned. Let's talk about financial well-being and dig into that more. So Dennis, for those that haven't heard that episode yet, is a certified money coach with a background of over 30 years within the financial services. So he knows what he's talking about. He's the founder of Cambridge Money Coaching, and that helps individuals and organizations overcome the wrong thinking, the anxieties towards money, and helps instruct them with regards to financial well-being. So lots we can dig into now. But first of all, thanks for coming back, Dennis. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Trevor. Thanks very much indeed. And thanks for your warm welcome. It's great to be back.
It's brilliant. It's lovely to have the opportunity to chat with you. It's not every day that I chat to someone that's got that much expertise in finances. So it's really good. And I know that everything you're going to share on this episode, as well as the last one, is going to help people just get a better perspective about money, about how they handle it, how they help other people handle it as well. Maybe just as we start off, I know you're very passionate about financial literacy and helping the next generation, in a sense, grasp the things that they need to with regards to finance. Just unpack a little bit of that. Where does that come from?
So I became a money coach probably 4 years ago. I went through this process of moving from kind of core financial services to becoming a money coach. And I realized that I was financially competent because I'd inherited financial competence from my father. My father was born in 1919, which is, and he's not with us anymore, obviously. But, that was an area of scarcity, frugality, and he passed that down to me. And so luckily I was born, if you look at the kind of extremes of money behaviors, I was born with extreme kind of saving ethic and not spending all your money and those kinds of things. So I was financially competent, but I realized as I went through life, and certainly when I became a money coach, I didn't have financial well-being. I was anxious all the time, and I spent a period of time outside of work, and that was very, very challenging for me and my family. So I have this odd thing of have always had savings and built up investments, and people think, he knows what he's doing, but at heart was this level of financial anxiety. And as I began to look into this area a bit more, and as I set up my coaching business, I realized that actually not only was I extremely lucky, but most people don't have that. And managing your finances is a complex activity. It's got very much more complex in the last 70 years. We've got credit. Cash has almost evaporated. We don't get bills so much anymore. We just get emails that say, your account statement is updated, but you don't get a bill. You don't get a bill through the post. We have debit cards, credit cards, store value cards, store cards. We have Klarna, and we have SIPs and ISAs and LISAs, and all of this stuff is it's really complex. And two of the biggest stresses for human beings are uncertainty and lack of control. And I think that really applies to most people's finances at some point in their life, if not all of their lives. And so for me, it became really important to help people understand that as a money coach. And, it starts with the fact that your brain isn't wired to do, isn't wired for long-term thinking. It's wired for short-term gratification and immediate response to danger. And if there's something I want, when do you think the best time to have it is? Now, right? If there's something I want, there's something I need. And if you got something that makes you feel uncomfortable, discomfort, anxiety, So, when is the best time to start that training program or get on that diet or sort out my finances? When's the best time, Trevor?
Now.
Well, now is the best time, but what's your brain telling you is any but now, anything but now. It's like next week or it's next month or whatever. Do you have kids?
No.
Do you have kids?
No, not yet. No.
But maybe you remember like when you were supposed to be revising and it was really important before you did your revision, you had to make sure you had the right highlighter pens and you had to have your pencil case. You had to have all of this stuff lined up before you could actually do the hard thing about revising. And that's what we do. That's what our brains tell us. It's like, no, I'll look at my bank statements another time. Now's not a good time. And pensions now, that's for old people. I don't need to be thinking about this stuff. And and when you begin to realize that all of this is hardwired into you, it's natural that you just go, well, if I want it now, and it's Black Friday's coming up and all of this sort of stuff, and we're being manipulated by advertisers, manipulated by marketers all the time. There's this lovely term I came across today, false scarcity. So if you've been looking at something and it says in the little corner, it goes, 15 people looking at this right now, or 100 sold, or only 3 left. All this concept of false scarcity is there to create a scarcity mindset, which is panic. I better buy it now. Same thing that we had with toilet rolls 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And so advertisers use this. They create false scarcity in our minds, even though I'm pretty damn sure that if you're on whatever website it was, there's thousands more. Even if like 2 people are looking at this right now, or 7 were sold in the last hour, it doesn't mean I need to buy mine right now. But it does mean that my brain is being tricked into thinking that I better get it right now.
Yeah.
So we are understanding and unpacking this and helping people go, oh, right, yeah, no, that's why I do that. Now I understand that. And so no one shows us how to manage our finances. Not really. Maybe we have had parents that are good with their finances. Maybe we haven't. Maybe we've had money conversations. Maybe we grew up in a family where they went, let's not talk about money. So all of this stuff makes it difficult for us to makes it hard to understand and manage money. And yet it's the one thing that we need to get right. So helping people understand that. I work with financial advisors, helping them understand what their clients are going through, and possibly, levels of anxiety around financial advisors.
Yeah.
And then moving through financial well-being, which is not just about kind of giving people tips, because the thing with financial literacy and financial education is that a lot of people approach you, they go, well, it's got numbers in it, right? So obviously we're going to turn it into numeric discussions. It's like saying, oh, wait, well, that's just all numbers, isn't it? It's calories in and calories out. What don't you understand here? And of course, weight, diet, and everything is so much more. It's more complex than that, because it's about how I feel about myself and how I feel about food and how I feel about myself. And yet, so financial literacy and financial education is this austerity gospel, wants and needs, and it's all about maths, nothing to do with emotions. Why is it that you can't get this? And what that obscures is it tends to focus on, you've got a spending problem. I don't think most people in financial difficulties have a spending problem. I think they probably have an income problem. And yet they're made to feel bad because they can't control their spending, because they're tricked by advertisers, because they grew up with debt and they're stuck with debt. And so the way I look at financial literacy and financial well-being is from the lens of compassion and self-compassion and forgiveness, because it's the fact that we're not all drowning in debt is a miracle, because the whole world is conspiring to put us into that situation.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of insight there as well. And as you were talking about financial well-being, it's like, it's just to smash any myths out there. It's not like, when I have £1 million, I know I'll be all right. It's like the actual amount of money you have is irrelevant from the emotion that's tied around dealing and managing the money, isn't it? If you can handle a small amount of money well, you're more likely to handle £1 million well. If you really can't cope with a small amount, because of whatever the programming in the past has been, that's got you to the point where actually you're not quite handling it as well as you could, then suddenly magnify that X amount of times to have £1 million. The danger is a lot more. The risk is a lot more that you're going to make more mistakes and just feel worse about it after that. So I like the way you approach it is you deal with the human part of financial well-being as well as the financial part of well-being.
Yeah, because if it's not lack of knowledge that blocks us. In some cases, it is. So let me just be clear on that. There is lack of knowledge, but in a sense, if I hold up my phone, this gives me and you and everyone access to all the stored knowledge in the world. So it's not like we don't, it's a secret. This is not the Knights Templar or something or whatever it is. All of the knowledge is out there. Martin Lewis does an amazing job. Yeah. Along with, I'm trying to think, Money to the Masses, and there's a whole bunch of guys, the Money and Pension Service, or I think whatever they're called now. All of them produce reams and reams and reams of financial literacy, good guides, how to save money, how to pick the right ISA, how to do this, how to do that, how to get out of debt. But if you grow up, and all of us have been through this, you're in a situation where you're doing something wrong, you don't know what it is, someone will come to you and go, why did you do that? What's wrong with you? How can you think that way? What's wrong with you? And this message gets repeated through school, through parents, through various kind of well-meaning people that are trying to help us. And they're like, if there's something I don't understand and I can't seem to do it and I don't know why, there must be something wrong with me. And if you think there's something wrong with you, it's really hard to go and get that looked at and get that fixed and reach out to someone and go, listen, I really don't understand this. Can you help me with it? Because if you feel there's something wrong with you, you're not going to do that. You're just going to go, oh, just ignore all of that stuff. And all the pain and all the discomfort and all the shame and everything will build up over time and you'll never get it fixed because you're blocked. And it's not your fault. Yeah. So can you use a chainsaw?
Never tried.
Okay. Do you feel bad about that? Does that?
No, not really.
No, you don't, right? So no one ever showed you how to do it. You can't do it, but that doesn't worry you. Yeah. But if no one ever shows you how to run your finances or manage your finances and you can't do it, and because it is complex, your brain's not wired for it. There's a whole bunch of emotion around it, and it doesn't go well. You feel bad about yourself.
Yeah.
And so my message around this is if you shouldn't blame yourself for not being able to do something no one ever showed you how to do. Now, if it's a chainsaw, it doesn't really matter, right? Or if you can't play golf or you can't do yoga or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But money is really important to get right because when it goes wrong, it traps you in debt, it traps you in guilt, it traps you in shame. So it's this one thing that runs through our lives that never comes with instructions. It's just a whole bunch of emotions associated with it. And so, as you said, you approach financial well-being with not just like rules about you need 30% of your income on this and 20% on that and whatever else it is. These are all good guidelines. It's about how can I help you to engage with something that's really scary for you, that makes you feel bad about yourself, and how do I support you in that process as a coach? But at the broader financial well-being level, it's like saying, okay, I've got 10 reasons why this is really, really hard for you. And so if you're struggling with yourself on that one, don't feel bad about it. But you do need, it is hard. It doesn't mean you don't get to do it.
Yeah.
But it's okay if it makes you, if you feel scared and guilty and ashamed and regretful and all those things. You do need to move forward, but it's not your fault. No one chooses those emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good. And in some ways, going into the business world, if you're running your own business, it all gets magnified. The pressure to be able to perform well financially and manage those things. I think you touched on that quite a bit in the other episode, so we won't delve into that. But you share a lot of insight about how to navigate that side of things, which is really good. You also help organizations help their staff or their employees with regards to the financial well-being. What does that look like for people listening, thinking, right, I really need my team to hear this. Definitely listen to these episodes because that's good. But what's the way that you practically go in and help organizations put it on the agenda, put it on the sort of growth side of things with their staff?
Yeah, so we've made as a society and in the UK, we've made a great deal of progress in the last 4 or 5 years around the whole concept of mental health, supporting people at work. And I think that really can be placed in the kind of, how do I make my employees feel safe at work, safe emotionally, safe from judgment? Because if an employee feels safe and happy at work, they're going to work. And if they don't feel safe at work because they don't feel safe because of their supervisor, they don't feel safe because of they've got an app in their pocket that's telling them to have to do X number of miles around the Amazon, and they can't sit down and they can't go to the toilet. That's a really stressful situation for employees to be in. And also, when people go to work, they bring their problems with them. They don't leave their financial worries at the door. So if you've got financial worries, and financial worries are the biggest cause of stress in the Western world, then you're going to be turning up to work and you're going to be worried about whether you've got enough money to pay the bills, whether you've got, the car's just gone wrong, or the boiler's just gone wrong, or whatever, those unexpected expenses, which are always there. You just don't know whether it's the dog or the boiler or the car or the washing machine or whatever else it is. But there's always something tripping you up. So when you bring that to work, you're going to have stress. You're going to have people that aren't able to focus because they're just too worried about their financial situation. So financial well-being in the workplace is around 2 areas. One is, how does an organization make employees feel safe around how they're rewarded, how they're judged, where they can go to feel supported, and through financial well-being, which I think is probably the biggest gift that anyone can give anyone, is helping them to manage, or showing them how to manage their finances. So for me, if I go back to my origin story, it's like, well, luckily my father never did anything directly, but indirectly I picked up the habit of frugality, which is one of the 4 positive behaviors that you need to manage your finances well. So showing people how they can do that through financial well-being seminars, could be 1 hour, could be a 2 hour, or it could be even through extending that and going, well, actually, for those of you who are struggling, we will pay for you for an hour to go with a coach, for example.
Yeah.
There are plenty of well-being strategies in companies, and that's safe spaces, that maybe subsidized massages, or fruit or something or other, right? I don't mean to belittle any of it. All of it's good, but basically the message is, we support you. We want your mental well-being. We want your physical well-being. And if you can help someone who's struggling with their finances, that has a massively beneficial effect on their physical health, their mental health, and their productivity at the office.
Yeah. And also in some ways, there's a certain level of responsibility from the business owner, from the organization, to create the right culture in all aspects, mental health as well as financial health as well. But it's also the thing of, if you really value your staff, and like you say, if you want to create that environment where they feel safe, they're going to be more productive. So the win-win is, the more productive they are, the better the profits are as well, the better person they are to work around, so they'll have a positive influence on your team. But it's also from the individual perspective, isn't it? It's valuing the individual. You've hired them, you've recruited them to do a job, and if you're able to step in and help them financially navigate the financial world, it doesn't mean just chuck money at them with raises. I don't mean that, but it's walking through the process of them taking responsibility for their own finances, having a safe place to discuss that, to find out, what does that look like for me? Because we are all sort of wired slightly individually, aren't we? And most people aren't going to talk to their boss about finances, are they? It's just
no. They're not going to go to their supervisor. But here's the other thing about financial well-being, or financial anxiety, or financial stress. It's not concentrated in any particular segment of society.
Yeah.
Anyone in the organization could have it. Just because you're a supervisor, or that doesn't mean you've necessarily got any more financial well-being than anybody else.
Yeah.
So giving people the understanding that actually they can talk about it, there are safe places to talk about it. It's going to be very difficult to build that culture immediately within an organization, because it took years to get mental health on the agenda. So in a sense, outsourcing that to saying, okay, well, actually, if you're really struggling with something, here's a coach, or here we're signposting you to debt counseling, or you're signposting it to other professional organizations that can support you, even with mental health first aiders, right? If you're suicidal, you need to be talking to a suicide hotline, not necessarily to somebody internally. But the message is that we want to support you in this area.
Yeah.
It's not some kind of frivolous activity and some kind of box ticking exercise. If we can support our employees, if you can support your employees in the thing that's probably worrying them the most, then I think you've got a really good chance of your employees going, actually, you know what, you can keep the fruit and the reflexology. This really helped me more than anything else.
Yeah.
And so there's one particular area that I'd like to touch on, because it when I was talking to Yeukai about it, it reminded me of his origin story. It's like, if you're starting in the workforce, and whether you're 18, 21, 25 or whatever, the average amount of debt that people go to step change with is about £6,000. Now, if you've got £6,000 in debt, you're probably paying something like 150 quid a month in interest, and you're not paying the principal down. And so 40 years later, you're still paying £150 a month in interest, and you've still got the £6,000 worth of debt, right? Now, if on the other hand, you put £100 a month into an ISA, and you put it into a tracker fund, and it broadly grows around 7.5% per annum, and you do that for 40 years, you'll have a lump sum tax-free at 40 years later of about £285,000, £300,000, something like that, which is a life-changing difference from, £6,000 worth of debt. And it's only cost you 100 quid a month as opposed to 150 quid a month. Now, the reason I use it as an example is because not only are they completely different, one's massively different in terms of retirement from the other one, the point is that where you end up on either of those, or anywhere in the middle, is entirely random. It's because somebody told you about it. That somebody could be me, or that somebody could be someone nice in HR, or that somebody could be the co-worker sitting next to you going, mate, you've just started work, here's a couple of things you need to know. So when it comes to people entering into the workforce, I'm really passionate about this. You can see it's like the most important thing you can do for them, and we're not talking about the pension plan or this plan, or we spend hours going through whatever the health and safety policy is and the HR policy, and this is like, do you know how, what your financial lifestyle looks like? Have you got debt? Can you do this? Can you do that? And that's life-changing for someone, because if you're, as I said, you're starting in the workforce, if someone says, here's a few things you need to know about building up some money over your lifetime, so that when you are 65, you're not sitting there with that same £6,000 worth of debt and nothing to show for it. You've got something sitting in an ISA that you could look at, and then not only are you going to be building financial well-being for yourself and your family, you'll also be able to say to your kids, when it's their turn to start, this is what you need to do. So you create this kind of virtuous cycle. And I think that employers really have a duty of care for anyone entering into the workforce, to be that person that says, here's a few things you need to know.
Yeah. And almost treat it to the same level of, we have a duty of care to look after you in a safe environment from, slips, trips, hazards and fire safety and all of that sort of stuff. We have a duty of care to look after your data, so it's not hacked, so it's not stolen and all that sort of stuff. We also have a duty to look after you financially, in the sense of not just give you money because you turn up and do your job, but help you navigate that process and understand what works for you, because you're right, it has a knock-on effect with everybody in your household, and as they then see money and treat money going forwards as well, it's a knock-on effect, isn't it? Like it costs everybody something to live on the planet, doesn't it? One way or another, somebody's paying for it because there's costs associated with everything, just eating, breathing, all the different areas, wherever you are in the country, in the world, it costs money to be on the planet. In some ways it shouldn't, I think. There's, but that's a different topic maybe for now. But this is all really useful stuff, Dennis. So thank you for what you're sharing. We've got a few more minutes left. So kind of to link in partly with what you touched on previously, but also digging into the coaching element slightly a little bit more for people that maybe have been listening thinking, yeah, maybe I need a coach, I don't know. Or you're the business owner and you're thinking, how do I help my staff get someone like Dennis in? Just elaborate a little bit more. What would a coaching session look like for somebody they know they've got things they want to sort out financially. They're not coming to you necessarily to say, should I get this pension or should I get that one? But how can I start feeling better about money, about myself? How can I start changing some of the behaviors and the habits that I've developed because I saw my parents do it? What would that look like as a first step for people?
So other than explaining to them kind of the 10 reasons why it is really, really hard, we touched on some of them. There's a whole bunch more I didn't go into. It's about showing people why they do what they do, how they do, and what it is that causes them, from the way their brain works to all of their beliefs and understandings about themselves and money that they picked up in childhood, and showing them that actually that can be changed. So the first point is always awareness.
Yeah.
And when you start with awareness, you can then so if you've got behaviors and habits that's just evolved over your lifetime, and you never really think about it. You come home and you go, well, I'm tired, or whatever. You do what you do because you've evolved over time, but they're never really conscious choices. Most of our choices aren't conscious, but they can be if we want them to. So it's a process of saying, how can I support? How can I create an environment? How do I support the choices I want to make? So I'll give you an example. Where are the vegetables in your fridge?
In the drawer.
Yeah, which is where? At the bottom?
At the bottom, yeah.
Do you know why that is? Do you know why historically why that is?
No.
Okay,
Actually.
so when fridges were first invented, at least the fridges that we look at today, the cool, damp air was at the bottom of the fridges. And that's where you put the vegetables, and you put them behind like an opaque glass so you couldn't see through it, because vegetables often came covered in mud. So you needed to put them somewhere where they wouldn't muck up the fridge, and that's why you couldn't see it. Now, that's where the vegetables live. Trevor, if you want to eat more vegetables in your life, where would you put them?
In the fridge.
Well, yeah, in the fridge, but where in the fridge?
Oh, in the bottom, in the drawer.
No, but if you wanted to eat more of them, where would you put them? So when you opened the fridge, where would they be?
Oh, I see. You'd have to put them on top of the drawer.
You would put them at eye level, right? So if I want to eat more vegetables, I don't hide them at the bottom of the fridge and then go, oh God, what's that nasty smell after 2 months? Oh God, it's the vegetables I put in there. You put them at eye level. So my point I'm trying to make is that you change the environment to support what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Right. You start to look at the choices you're making, conscious, subconscious, and go, okay, well, if I want to do this better, what am I going to do? So for example, you're going to disable, if you want to spend less, for example, disable one click on Amazon for a start, and stop storing all your credit card details on all those websites.
Yeah.
Put friction into your spending behavior and make your saving behavior frictionless.
That's good. Yeah.
Right. Bring deliberate choices. And if you're, again, I mean, I hope bang on about Amazon, but if you're sitting at 3 o'clock in the morning ordering stuff on Amazon, you really need to be stepping back and going, why am I doing this? What need am I trying to fulfill with this? And is there a healthier way, at least from my bank balance perspective, for doing it? So understanding how you do it, why you do it, and then setting up your environment to create the outcomes you want to create is all about bringing consciousness to your thought processes, your decision-making processes. We can all do it.
Yeah.
It's just no one ever shows us how. And no one shows us how to do it around money.
Yeah. That's really
So I'll give you an example, one final example in the last 2 minutes. Like, a client of mine had debts and he just couldn't get rid of them, and he was just working through it, and it's like he had no idea what he was spending. So we put all of his stuff into a free app on the web on called I think it was Money Hub or Money Dashboard, one of the two. And we tagged everything of his spending for a month, and he realized he was spending £30 a month on Subway, and he had no idea. He thought he went for a Subway occasionally. And so when he wanted to save £30 a month, he knew exactly where to go, because he had now developed conscious positive engagement with his finances, as opposed to, this is a nightmare, I don't know what's going on, I don't know why it's always like that. So you have to face up to your discomfort, but if you're doing it with a coach who's saying, don't worry, you'll be fine, this is part of the process, then I'm giving people tools, ways of understanding how they behave and how they can change that.
Yeah. It's really good. Such a key thing. Yeah, it really is. And like, for people that are listening as well, like, coaching provides a safe space. So things you're not going to talk about through, with your boss, with your family mate, your spouse, even if it's wrapped around shame or feeling that, you failed and you want to be respected by your spouse, so you don't want to share it, anything like that. It's not a counseling session, but it's a session where you can really open up and explore, am I just spending stuff so I feel better? And I'm not actually dealing with the self-esteem issues or the concerns, the anxiety I have around whatever that might be. Coaching is powerful. It really is. And it's really good because you've got somebody to help you and be accountable with. If you take the step to start coaching, I'm a big advocate anyway, but just listen to this in principle. If you take the step to start coaching, you're partnering with somebody else that's going to help you, not judge you, but help you and support you through the process that you want to make. They're not going to come with an agenda, their own agenda. They're going to help you get through to where you want to get to. So it's such a key thing. And when you include finances in it, the benefits are exponential, really, because finances affect most transactions on the planet, certainly within our lives, in the cultures that we're in as well.
That's right.
Yes, there's a lot of more things important than money, but money is such a key element. It's like a fuel. If you want to get anywhere or do anything, there has to be some sort of transaction most of the time that involves money. So such a key thing.
It's important to get it right, not from a money accumulation perspective, because there are plenty of people, the worried wealthy, who can't spend any money because they're racked by anxiety. So yes, there are both ends of the spectrum, and both ends of the spectrum are unhealthy in terms of, I'm not in control of what I want to do and how I want to feel. Thinking about money makes me feel, and you can add all, whatever negative words you want in: guilty, ashamed, anxious, regretful, jealous, whatever it is. And you don't choose that, but you can choose to change that, because it's not working for you.
Yeah.
If you have a set of behaviors that aren't working for you, and they could be financial, it could be diet, it could be exercise, it could be a whole host of things that you're unable to change, and they're making your life more difficult going forward, then get help. It's okay. Money doesn't come with instructions, only emotions. And so,
God, that's a good nugget. That is. Yeah. Say that again.
You like that one? Money doesn't come with instructions, only emotions. And yet it runs through our lives.
Yeah.
So even after 30 years in working in banking, I didn't know what my relationship with money was, and it wasn't healthy. I was competent, but I wasn't secure.
Yeah.
And it took me a while through my money coaching journey to become much less anxious and much better, because anxiety ripples out across all the people you love and interact with.
Yeah.
It's not something you keep to yourself.
Eventually, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah, you're right. This is lovely. Thank you, Dennis, for what you shared. It's a difficult topic in some ways for people to maybe listen and be honest with themselves that actually, yeah, maybe I do need to address one area of how I handle money or why I handle money a certain way. But it's really good. You've brought the topic up in our discussion so people can think about it. And also you've encouraged people that take action, take a step towards getting out of it. You're aware of the problem, then start the intention of changing things because you can. I really like that. It's empowering, isn't it? If
you can.
Myself as an individual, and if I know I'm struggling with something, but someone says you don't have to stay there, there is help, there's a way out, then it would make sense to at least think about it and work out how that individual can help. So that's what we're saying for everybody listening. You understand where we're coming from. For those that want to find out more about Dennis and how you can help them, either from a business perspective, helping their staff, or just the individual, what's the best way for them to touch base? Head to the website.
Head to cambridgemoneycoaching.uk. I'm there, and the programs that I offer are there. And just check it out, read it, give me a call, drop me a line, contact me. And I think to wrap up on the financial well-being for employees perspective, I don't think you can do anything other than keeping them safe in the environment, that their physical environment that they're in. I don't think you can do anything more important to support your employees than to try and help them with financial well-being.
Yeah. And they're your best advertising, really, aren't they? You get that right. You get a person happy where they want to be. They're going to tell their friends about it. They're going to recruit other people for you because it's the place where they want to be. So there's lots of benefits. If you stop and think about it, there's lots of benefits to doing that. But the challenge can be sometimes from a business owner's perspective, it's another thing to think about. But hopefully from what Dennis shared with us today, it's definitely worth thinking about it, and the benefits certainly outweigh the effort and the things that are involved in putting it into play. So brilliant. Thank you again for your time. I know it's going to be a good discussion.
You're welcome.
I can tell you're passionate about helping people as well. And I know that you come from a background, you've walked a journey where you understand where people are and you've got the compassion to help them get through it, which is priceless. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you.
And by all means, come back again at some point. It'd be great to chat even more at some point. That'd be really good.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Dennis. And for everybody listening, as we've said, make sure you take action one way or another, even if it's just one step. You don't need to take loads of steps at this point. Just the next step that's going to move you towards where you want to get to. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.